She used to cry in my arms, whispering how broken she was. Said she felt like a prisoner in her own home, that her husband was jealous, controlling, didn't trust her with anything. He checks my phone, she'd say. Thinks every smile I give someone means I'm cheating. The first time she said it, we were sitting in her car in a grocery store parking lot, rain tapping on the windshield. She looked so small in that moment, hair pulled back in a messy bun, eyes red like she hadn't slept in days. She stared straight ahead when she said, "He doesn't love me. He just wants to own me." And like a fool, I believed her. No, that's not fair. I wanted to believe her. Because by then, I was already in too deep. We met at work. She was with a supplier team we used a lot. Bright smile, sharp mind, funny in a sarcastic kind of way. We clicked quickly. At first it was coffee, then longer talks after meetings, then texts that got a little too personal. "If only I had someone like you," she wrote once. "You actually see me." That's all it took. I should have backed off, I know. She was married. I wasn't proud of the way it started, but she told me it was over. Not officially yet, but emotionally. Said they hadn't shared a bed in months. That she was scared to leave, scared of what he'd do. And I wanted to protect her. That's the part that gets me now. Not that I was her secret, not that I helped her cheat. The worst part is how convinced I was that I was saving her. After a few months, she left him, moved into a friend's place at first. I helped her move, held her while she cried, listened to every story, how he screamed, how he punched a hole in the wall once, how he followed her to work one time because he didn't trust her. She said she felt safe with me, said I was different. That's what made me stay. Not the romance, not even the sex. It was that feeling that I had done something good, that I'd helped someone escape a nightmare. A few months later, she moved in with me, and a year after that, we got married. I remember the wedding day like it happened yesterday. Small backyard ceremony, just a few close friends, string lights, her in a simple white dress. She cried during her vows, said she'd never felt this kind of love before, said I made her believe in men again. And me? I felt like a king. I thought, her ex doesn't know what he lost. I thought I was better, that I'd won. But that's the thing about playing hero in someone else's tragedy. You never stop to ask what role they really played in the story. You only hear their side, and you assume the villain was real. The first year of marriage was great. No other word for it. We traveled, we cooked together, stayed up late talking, shared everything. I thought we had that rare kind of love people envy. But then, slowly, things started to shift. She started staying out later. Her phone started living face down on the table. She started going to more girls' nights, work events, old friends coming into town. I didn't think much of it at first. I trusted her. I wanted to trust her. After all, wasn't that the whole problem with her ex? That he didn't? I remembered what she told me, that he always accused her, that he made her feel like she was doing something wrong even when she wasn't. So I stayed quiet. I didn't ask questions. I didn't want to be like him. But that little voice inside me, the one I ignored when we first started, it started whispering again. Whispering things I didn't want to hear. Whispering that I wasn't the first man she said those things to. And if I wasn't the first, I probably wouldn't be the last. They say the honeymoon phase fades eventually. I just didn't expect it to vanish overnight. At first, I thought it was stress. Work was wearing her down. She said she was tired, overwhelmed. Said she needed space to think, whatever that meant. She started sleeping in later, spending more time out of the house. The woman who used to curl up next to me every evening with her feet in my lap suddenly preferred the other end of the couch. Or no couch at all. "I just need time to breathe," she'd say. "It's not about you." But it felt like it was. She stopped cooking with me, started eating out more with friends from work. That word, friends, started doing a lot of heavy lifting. Some nights it was a girls' dinner. Other nights it was a coworker's birthday. Then there were the weekends she needed to clear her head, or wanted to reconnect with her old circle. I didn't argue. Not at first. I told myself not to overthink it. Everyone needs time apart. Everyone gets busy. That's marriage, right? You give each other space. You trust. You support. You wait for it to pass. But it didn't pass. It deepened. She started locking her phone. Nothing unusual, just a new passcode one day, no explanation. I didn't say a word, but she must have noticed my eyes linger too long because she snapped. Don't start with that. I had enough of that in my last marriage. That shut me down. Because that was the trap, wasn't it? If I questioned her, I was becoming like him. If I stayed silent, I was a doormat. I remembered the way she used to talk about her ex. How he didn't trust her. How he got angry when she'd go out with friends. How she hated the feeling of being watched, judged, accused. Now here I was, starting to feel all those same things. And it terrified me. I didn't want to be that guy. I didn't want to lose her trust, to make her feel caged. to repeat the cycle she supposedly escaped. But some nights, when she came home 3 hours later than she said she would, smelling like cologne that wasn't mine, laughing at a joke I hadn't told, I couldn't silence the voice in my head anymore. The same voice that used to tell me I was her hero was now telling me I'd been her transition, a comfortable bridge from one life to the next. And bridges aren't meant to last. The irony wasn't lost on me. I remembered how smug I used to feel, like I'd won something, like I was the better man, the upgrade, the reward for her pain. Now I started to wonder if that pain was even real, or if I'd just been the latest audience for her story. There were clues, small ones at first. She stopped using the word we, started saying I think I'll go, I've got plans, I need time. She stopped asking me what I wanted for dinner, stopped wearing her ring in public, it irritates my skin, she said. And then there was that day in the driveway. She was standing by her car, talking to someone on speakerphone. The window was cracked. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, just happened to step outside with the trash. But I heard a man's voice say, he still doesn't suspect anything? And I heard her laugh, that soft, breathy laugh I used to think only I could bring out of her. I dropped the trash bag right there. She looked up, startled, smiled too quickly. That was my cousin, she said. He's such an idiot. Her cousin, right? I didn't say a word, just nodded and walked back inside. But in that moment, I felt it shift. Not her, not the story, me. I stopped trying to explain away the red flags, stopped silencing the questions, stopped pretending I didn't see the same pattern that had played out in her past. She said her ex was jealous. Now I wondered if he was just paying attention. I used to hate the man she described, her ex-husband, the way she painted him. He was everything I never wanted to be. Jealous, controlling, insecure, always asking where she was going, who she was talking to, why she was late. She said he would sulk if she wore something too nice, claimed he didn't want her around any men, even at work. Like she was property. She made him sound like the kind of man no woman should stay with. And when I stepped into her life, I promised myself I'd never become him. But now? Now I was checking the clock when she left the house. Now I was listening for the change in her tone when a text came through. Now I was wondering who Jess really was, and if Jess ever even existed. I started watching her differently, not because I wanted to, but because I had to. Because nothing added up anymore. She used to tell me everything, little things, pointless things. Now, days went by where I barely got more than, fine, and I'm tired. I'd ask how her evening went, and she'd say, you wouldn't know them, or just boring work talk. But her eyes would shift when she said it. Her hand would linger just a second too long over her phone. She started putting it on silent, started locking it when she went to the bathroom, always face down. At first, I told myself I was imagining it, that I was just projecting, that the guilt from how we started, our secret, her leaving her husband for me, was finally catching up with me. But deep down, I knew. I remembered the way she used to sneak messages to me, back when she was still married. The way she'd step outside to take a call. The way she'd smile when her husband texted, then roll her eyes and say, God, he's so paranoid. And now? She was doing the same things. Only this time, I was the husband, and some other guy was getting the late-night messages. I couldn't prove it, not yet, but the signs were everywhere. She'd come home wearing perfume I didn't recognize. Her excuses got thinner. I lost track of time. My phone died. We just had one more drink. She'd get defensive over nothing. What? You don't trust me now? And the worst part? I was starting to question myself more than her. I'd stand in front of the mirror brushing my teeth, staring at my reflection, asking myself, am I being paranoid? Am I the one ruining this? Just like she said her ex did. But here's the thing. Doubt is slow. It doesn't punch you in the face. It drips in, quiet and steady. You don't even realize how much it's taken from you until you're walking on eggshells in your own home. Until you're apologizing for asking what time she'll be back. Until you're checking her social media when she's asleep, feeling like a stranger to the man you used to be. Until you start rehearsing conversations in your head before you ever speak, just so you don't sound controlling. That's what I became. Not angry, not violent, careful. And nothing kills a man faster than living careful. I remember one night, she was in the shower, phone on the bed, face down. Something buzzed, and I swear my heart stopped. I didn't touch it, didn't even flip it over. Just stood there, staring at it like it was ticking. That's when I realized I had two options. I could let her twist the story like she did with her ex, make me out to be another jealous husband who didn't get it. Or I could find the truth, on my terms. Because if I was becoming him, maybe he wasn't the monster she said he was. Maybe he just saw her before I did. It started with a name. We were at dinner, nothing fancy, just a burger place down the road. She was scrolling her phone between bites, laughing softly at something on the screen. I didn't say anything at first, just sipped my drink, trying not to notice how she smiled down at that screen like it had a secret. Then I asked, casually, "Who's so funny?" She looked up too quickly, like she hadn't expected the question. "Oh," she said, brushing a fry through ketchup, "just Dave, old friend from college." She said it too fast. That name stuck with me all night. Dave. Later, when she was in the shower, I sat on the edge of the bed and opened her laptop. She rarely used it anymore, but once upon a time it was her main device. I didn't know what I was looking for exactly, just something. And there he was, an old folder in her email, archived messages, labeled D. My heart was pounding as I opened it. There were dozens of threads, some from years ago, some from during our marriage, and all of them had the same tone, playful, flirty, occasionally more than flirty, compliments, inside jokes, subtle little references to things they did together. Some conversations had gaps, like part of the story was told somewhere else, maybe texts or calls. But one message stuck with me more than the others. It was from about a month before she left her husband. She wrote, "He's been unbearable lately, watching me like a hawk. It's exhausting. I don't know how much longer I can keep up the act." And Dave replied, "He's not stupid. Guys always know when they're being replaced." My chest went cold. I wasn't reading about her ex. I was reading about me. Back when she was still with him and sneaking around with me, she was having this exact kind of side conversation with Dave. So while I was the secret lover, telling myself she was leaving a toxic man for something better, she already had another man lined up behind me. And Dave wasn't the only one. There were other names, too. Chris, Rob, Nate, always tucked into old messages. Little breadcrumbs. I remembered how she used to talk about those friends, how she'd light up when they texted, how she always brushed it off with, "He's just like a brother to me." But now, I saw the pattern. These weren't just friends. They were placeholders. Temporary arms to fall into when she got bored, lonely, or needed a hit of affection. And I, the man who thought I rescued her, was just one of them. The one who bought the story. The one who gave it a title. Love. I shut the laptop, sat in the dark, and let it settle. Everything I'd told myself, that we were special, that our love was different, that I had saved her, it all cracked. And through those cracks, I saw the truth leaking in. I wasn't her safe place. I was her upgrade. And when the shine wore off, just like with her ex, she was already halfway out the door. The next day, I started watching closer. Not panicking, not confronting, just observing. When she said she was going to meet Jess for drinks, I noted the time. I saved the location she sent. I watched her car leave, waited 15 minutes, then drove the same route. There was no Jess. There was no bar. Just a downtown side street where her car sat parked outside a high-rise apartment building for almost 2 hours. And then I saw him. Tall guy, maybe mid-30s, with a jacket slung over one shoulder. He walked her out to the car, hugged her, kissed her on the cheek. I took a picture. I didn't want revenge. Not yet. I wanted truth. I wanted to look in the mirror and know I wasn't crazy, that I wasn't repeating someone else's mistake. I was waking up to my own. And now, I wasn't asking questions anymore. I was collecting answers. Once I stopped giving her the benefit of the doubt, the truth wasn't hard to find. It wasn't even hidden. Not really. Just scattered, like she didn't care enough to cover her tracks. Like she believed I was still the same man who once defended her without question. But I wasn't that man anymore. I started with the phone backups. A few years back, I'd helped her switch devices. She used my laptop to transfer everything, messages, photos, cloud accounts. And she never disconnected them. Her entire digital trail was still synced to that old laptop in my closet. At first, I hesitated. I sat there with my hand on the trackpad, just staring at the folders. Not because I didn't want the truth, but because deep down, I already knew it. And once you know, there's no going back. I opened the first backup. Texts, grouped by contact. It didn't take long. There was Nolan. There was Dave. There was a guy named Kyle she used to say was just a gym buddy. And Chris, the one she once introduced as a friend from high school, who was like family. It wasn't just one guy. It was a rotation. Same patterns, same phrases. Miss your voice. Can't stop thinking about last time. You make me feel alive again. I wish things were simpler. Some messages dated back to when we were still engaged. Others, as recent as last month. And the worst part? A few of them predated our marriage entirely. In fact, they overlapped with the final months of her last marriage, when she was seeing me. There it was, in black and white, the proof that I wasn't her salvation. I was her next phase, the next man to carry her guilt, the next name she'd used to justify her exit, the next idiot who believed he was the exception. I scrolled through photos. There were selfies, bathroom mirrors, hotel rooms, blurry late-night bar shots. Some I recognized. Others made my stomach drop. A few were taken during weekends she'd said she was with the girls. I compared dates, times, even restaurant receipts I'd seen in our shared account. Nothing matched. She hadn't just lied to me. She'd crafted an entire separate life. I found emails, too. Drafts never sent. One stood out. I don't know how to break it to him. He still thinks I'm the one who was wronged. He looks at me like I'm good, like I'm safe, but I'm already somewhere else. I closed the laptop, sat in silence, and realized that this wasn't a one-time mistake. This wasn't some emotional rough patch or moment of weakness. This was a pattern. It was who she was. She used her ex-husband's suspicion as a weapon against him, painted him like a villain so that I'd never question her. And it worked, because I wanted to believe in the version of her I fell for. The soft voice, the late-night confessions, the broken woman who needed to be loved right. But none of it was real. Or if it was, it wasn't for me. I didn't confront her that night. I didn't rage, didn't cry. I started quietly moving my personal files off the shared computer, changed the password to my financial accounts, transferred some savings into a private checking account she didn't know about. She didn't notice. She was too busy working late and reconnecting with herself. I wasn't just gathering evidence now. I was preparing. Because if there's one thing I'd learned watching her move from man to man, it's that the ones who wait, hoping she'll change, end up with nothing. But the ones who act first, they walk away clean. And that's exactly what I planned to do. By now, it wasn't about suspicion anymore. It wasn't about feelings or intuition or trying to read between the lines. It was facts, dates, names, messages, photos, patterns. I sat at the kitchen table one morning. She was still asleep upstairs, and I spread out a printed timeline. I'd gone full spreadsheet mode. I had it all mapped out. When she started seeing me while still married. When she was talking to Chris, the gym buddy, the same month we were planning our wedding. When she booked a cabin weekend last fall, just a solo getaway to clear my head, and texted Nolan, "You still make me nervous in the best way." When she told me she was reconnecting with old friends, and simultaneously sent a photo of herself in lingerie to someone saved as E. The deeper I looked, the clearer it all became. She'd never stopped. Not for her ex. Not for me. And probably not for the guy she'll land with after I'm gone. This was never about love. It was about attention. A rotating door of comfort, escape, and new beginnings. Until it all got too familiar and she needed to reinvent herself again. And me? I wasn't her soulmate. I was just a rest stop between exits. I remember sitting back, looking around the house. The couch we picked out together. That stupid oversized thing she had to have, because it looked grown up. The dining table, she said, reminded her of the one her grandparents had. The framed picture of us at the beach, her smiling up at me like I was her entire world. None of it meant what I thought it did. Not because the objects changed, but because the context did. It's amazing how fast something loses value once you know the truth behind it. And now, for the first time in our marriage, I saw things clearly. She didn't love her ex less than me. She just got bored with him, just like she was now bored with me. But unlike him, I wasn't going to stick around and be turned into the villain of her next redemption story. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of flipping this around, of pretending I had trust issues, that I was unstable, controlling, paranoid. Because that's what she did. She would break the glass, then cry about how sharp the pieces were. But not this time. This time, I was leaving first. I started making calls. Storage unit, booked. Spare apartment through a buddy, ready in 2 weeks. Private mailbox, set up. Bank accounts, rerouted and separated. Legal consult. Already had a quiet meeting and walked out with a folder full of papers and a checklist I'd follow to the letter. And the best part? We didn't own anything jointly. No shared mortgage. No shared business. Nothing I couldn't quietly walk away from without a fight. I changed the passwords on all my accounts, removed her as emergency contact everywhere. Doctor's office, insurance, work profile. She'd never see it coming. Because I wasn't sulking. I wasn't cold. I wasn't giving her anything to suspect. I kissed her forehead in the mornings, made her coffee, asked how her day was. She thought she still had me, but really, she was already alone. The only thing left was how I'd walk away, and I didn't want it to be loud. I didn't want shouting or begging or a dramatic confrontation with her yelling. That's not what it looks like. No, I wanted her to feel exactly what her ex must have felt, that sudden, silent drop when the person you thought would tolerate anything suddenly doesn't. So I wrote a letter, not a long one, just the truth, simply laid out. No insults, no accusations, just the facts, calmly delivered. Then I printed out a few screenshots. The ones with her name, her face, her words. Nothing graphic, just enough to kill the denial. I sealed everything in an envelope and tucked it into the drawer next to her favorite wine opener. She'd find it eventually, right after I was gone. She had no idea I was planning to leave. That was the point. When someone lives off manipulation, their biggest power isn't charm, it's control. They don't need you to worship them. They just need you to stay off balance. Unsure, dazed enough to question your own gut. And for a long time, I was exactly that. But not anymore. The morning I left started like any other. I made her coffee, cream and cinnamon, just how she liked it, kissed her on the cheek, asked what her plans were for the day. She smiled and said she might meet up with the girls later. Of course she would. Don't wait up, she said with a smirk. I smiled back. I won't. She left a half hour later, car keys dingling, purse over her shoulder, humming some upbeat song, probably texting one of the men she kept in her back pocket. She didn't even look back. I gave it 5 minutes, long enough for her to get down the road. Then I moved. Box by box, I loaded my car with everything I'd already packed and hidden in the guest room closet. Documents, clothes, flash drives, a few personal photos. Nothing that belonged to her. I wasn't taking revenge. I was taking me back. The envelope with the letter and screenshots? I slid it into her jewelry drawer, right beneath the silver necklace I gave her on our first anniversary. Let the truth sit where she kept all her other sparkle. By the time I finished, the house felt quiet, not peaceful, empty. Like all the meaning had been sucked out of it. It wasn't my home anymore. It was just a building filled with someone else's lies. I did one last walkthrough. The living room where we had our first Christmas together. The hallway where she once danced barefoot in an old sweatshirt, laughing at something I said. The kitchen counter where she sat while pretending she was mine, all while texting someone else under the table. Nothing felt like it used to, because none of it had ever been real. I left my keys on the table, walked out, locked the door behind me, and I didn't look back. The apartment I'd lined up was small, quiet, just outside the city. Nothing fancy, but it felt clean in a way the old house never could again. No ghosts, no hidden phones buzzing at 2 a.m., no pretending. I turned my phone off that first night. Not airplane mode, off, full blackout. I didn't want to hear from her. Not yet, because I knew what was coming. Confusion, then panic, then rage, and eventually the spin. She'd try to take control of the narrative, tell people I just left, say I had issues, that I was too sensitive or emotionally unstable. She'd cry to her friends, maybe even dig up stories from her past and attach them to me. That was her gift. She could twist the truth just enough to make herself the victim. But this time, she wouldn't get the chance. Because this time, I had everything. Screenshots, timelines, proof, and most importantly, I had distance. You can't manipulate someone who stops playing. I wasn't going to send the evidence to her friends or post it online. That's not who I am. But if she ever tried to lie about me the way she lied about him, I'd be ready. I wouldn't yell. I wouldn't beg anyone to believe me. I'd let her lies fall apart on their own, like they always do. But this time, I wouldn't be standing next to her when they did. She found the letter the next morning. I know that because she called me 6 times in the span of 10 minutes. Left 4 voicemails. The first one started calm, almost sweet. Hey, I just got home. I'm confused. Can you call me? Then her voice cracked a little. Why are your things gone? What's happening? Then came the panic. Where are you? What is this? What did you leave me? And finally, the mask dropped. This is insane. You're acting like a child. You could have talked to me. You had no right. No right. Amazing. How fast the script flips. She wasn't crying about what she did. She was furious about how I responded. But I didn't respond. Not to her. Not to the texts that followed. Long, bitter, spiraling paragraphs where she tried every card in the deck. Guilt, pity, gaslighting, anger, regret. She even threw in a soft one near the end. I never stopped loving you. I just got lost. But I didn't buy it. Not anymore. Because she never lost anything. She just kept replacing it. Me. Her ex. The guy before him. Maybe even someone in between. She never stopped loving me? No. She never started. I know how it must have felt for her, walking into that house. A place she thought she controlled. A man she thought would always stay. A truth she thought would never come to light. She probably walked through the rooms calling my name, expecting me to be upstairs. Maybe thought it was a joke at first, a scare tactic. But then the drawers were empty. The closet, clean. Bathroom, stripped. Her keycard to my bank login, denied. Her access to my calendar, blocked. And then, in the top drawer of her dresser, the envelope. Inside, the letter. My handwriting, calm, precise. No accusations. No insults. Just truth. You once told me your ex-husband watched you too closely. That he made you feel trapped, doubted, small. You forgot to mention why he did that. Turns out, he wasn't paranoid. He just noticed what I did too late. But I didn't. This time, the husband walks first. I won't explain myself in your version of this story. I've lived it. And now I'm out of it. You can keep the house. I've already taken what mattered, my freedom. And beneath that screenshots. Not all of them. Just a sample. Just enough. The text to Nolan. You still think about that night? The email to Chris. I don't know how long I can keep this up. The photo of her outside that condo with a man she said was just an old friend. No commentary. No arrows or red circles. Just truth. The kind that doesn't need explanation. She must have read it all more than once, hoping the words would change. But they didn't. They never do, once they're real. That night, she texted me again. You think you've won? You've destroyed everything. No, she did that herself. All I did was walk away before she had the chance to do it again, the same way she walked out on the last man and blamed him for holding the door. And now? She had to sit in the aftermath. No more cover story. No backup plan. No next man lined up to catch her. Just a mirror and an empty house. Exactly what she once left someone else to feel. The first thing she did was start damage control. A few days after I left, mutual friends started reaching out. Hey man, I just heard. What happened? She said you left out of nowhere. Are you okay? Did something happen? She's been calling around crying. Of course she was. She couldn't stand the silence. She needed a story. She needed someone to blame. So she told them I had issues. Said I was unstable. That I flipped over nothing. That I started acting just like her ex. That line, that one hit me. It was her favorite fallback. If you didn't tolerate the lies, you were just like the last one. But this time, the script didn't land. Because this time, I wasn't quiet, not vengeful, not loud, just honest. I sent one message only to a few people, the ones she'd already reached out to, trying to paint her version of events. I didn't rant. I didn't insult her. I didn't even use her name. I simply wrote, I'm fine. I left because I found out I wasn't the only one. If you'd like to see what made me walk away, let me know. But if you'd rather stay out of it, I respect that too. Some asked, so I showed them. Just a few messages. A photo or two. One calendar event from a weekend she said she was with her sister, and a time-stamped hotel receipt from another city. I didn't have to say anything more. They connected the dots on their own. After that, silence. The messages stopped. The "Are you okay?" text disappeared. She stopped calling because she realized something. This time, there was no audience for her performance. She tried reaching out to one of my sisters. Big mistake. My sister called me right after. She said she just wants closure, she told me. Says she misses you. Closure? I said, laughing quietly. She got it. She just didn't like the shape of it. Later, I found out she'd gone to her boss asking for time off. Said she was going through something personal. Word got around that her husband had left her. Just left. No warning. But her problem was, she'd built her life like a resume, always performing, always selling a version of herself. Charming, capable, lovable. The woman who'd been through so much. And now that the truth was out, she had nothing to fall back on. No loyal husband defending her. No emotional story to sway the sympathy. No proof that she was the victim. Just screenshots and silence. I heard through someone else that one of the guys she'd been seeing, the one from the condo, ghosted her shortly after I left. Apparently, he didn't know she was married. Once he found out, he blocked her. Another friend said she tried getting in touch with her ex-husband. That part made me laugh. The same man she said was controlling and toxic. The one she blamed for all her problems. She called him, and he didn't answer. Because just like me, he'd finally learned the truth. She wasn't trapped. She wasn't mistreated. She was never the one who needed rescuing. She was just looking for the next person to carry the weight of her lies until they broke under it. But this time, there was no next. She was out of stories, out of men, out of excuses, and most importantly, she was finally out of control.